Good morning. I'm sorry for the late start. My name is Tim Verdon. I'm with the Verdon Company in Cincinnati, and we are here to cast the Spirit of Minnesota bell. We are pleased to partner with Wells Fargo and the Minnesota Assistance Council in the creation of this bell. We'll start by presenting the colors. So last year, we cast our first bell in Iowa at the Iowa State Fair in partnership with Wells Fargo. That bell was cast last summer at the Iowa State Fair, entitled the Spirit of Iowa Bell. It continues to travel across the state and raise awareness for veterans, active service members, and military families. The tribute bell concept now has moved north to Minnesota, as Minnesota's third largest private employer. Wells Fargo is sponsoring the creation of the Spirit of Minnesota Bell in partnership with the Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans. Now what I'd like to do is introduce Jeff Chauvin. Jeff is the Vice President for Military Community Programs at Wells Fargo. Jeff and others at Wells Fargo have worked very hard to make the Spirit of Liberty, or Spirit of Minnesota tribute bell reality. Jeff?
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate being back with Verdon Company and being here to celebrate veterans. Wells Fargo's got a strong history with supporting veterans and our active service members, and this is just another way to continue to support our veterans throughout Minnesota. We created the first bell a year ago with the idea that we could have a portable community outreach platform, a way for veteran service organizations to go into small communities, educate veterans about the benefits that they have, as well honor veterans. And that's what we're here today to do. We're here to cast a bell, and this bell will travel all throughout the state of Minnesota and allow individuals to ring the bell in honor of their loved ones who potentially are no longer with us, or for those that are currently serving, and maybe even inspire a few of our future generations. And it's just a great way to continue to show support for our veterans through creating this tribute bell. Wells Fargo has contributed over $130 million since 2012 to veteran service organizations. So we have a strong desire to support veterans and a strong need to continue to support them throughout their life's transitions and the journeys that they continue to go on. So today I have some colleagues of mine, veterans, that I'd like to introduce. They're going to be part of this ceremony, and they're going to help ensure that we honor all the veterans of the United States, but specifically the veterans of Minnesota. This is about the veterans of Minnesota, their families, those still serving as well. So we want to make sure we honor them with placing some memorabilia in to be cast into the Minnesota Veterans Tribute Belt. So John Holbot, I'd like to bring him up. John is a current guardsman in the Minnesota National Guard and a veteran himself with 3 tours, I believe. 2 tours. Then also we have Alan Dix, who is a Navy veteran himself. He is actually also the chair, president of what's called our Veterans Team Member Network. It is a network of over 600 individuals, veterans and non-veterans alike, that do community outreach and different events throughout the state of Minnesota to support veteran causes. And just a great organization, great way to partner with the communities and the organizations out there. And then also we have 2 other gentlemen from the Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans, the nonprofit that will be hosting and owning the bell and helping to ensure its success, traveling throughout all of Minnesota, supporting veterans and educating veterans and the families about the different benefits they have. So we have Kevin Olson and John Lobald as well. If you guys could please come up.
We should introduce our DAV folks too.
Then I'd also we do have some VIP guests in the house. We have John and Dan with the Department or Disabled American Veterans. They're here in the audience. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to come here. Your support that the DAV gives veterans and has given veterans for almost 100 years now is phenomenal, and it's an honor to have you here with us. So thank you for being here. So with that being said, I think, John, I'm going to let you kind of take over the ceremony for the memorabilia.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to add the Minnesota memorabilia that we brought here from the state of Minnesota. It was donated by Wells Fargo customers, veteran service organizations, military units. So now we will start adding the medals that would be cast in the Spirit of Minnesota Tribute Bell into the ladle, and then it'll forever be enshrined in the Minnesota Bell. So at this time, we'll start with the veteran service organizations. And so Colonel Olson, please come up forward here and tell us what you're donating.
It is my honor to cast the very first item that is going to be placed into the Spirit of Minnesota Tribute Bell. And this is the coin from the Adjutant General of Minnesota, representing more than 14,000 citizen soldiers and airmen throughout the state of Minnesota. So on behalf of the citizens of Minnesota, here is the first item to be cast into our bell.
I didn't even see that part. And one more.
This is a coin from the 34th Red Bull Infantry Division. This is a combat infantry division based in Rosemount, Minnesota. And they are currently deployed in Kuwait. This is the commander's coin. And on behalf of the 650 Minnesota citizen soldiers that are deployed, it's my honor to present this item to be cast into the Spirit of Minnesota Tribute Bell.
John Lobald. I'm with Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans, and Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans, we have a coin for excellence with all the branches of service that are on here. On behalf of all the employees of MACV, the company that will be the protectors of the bell, we will be keeping the bell. I add this to the bell on behalf of the employees. Also, as a member and vice president of the General John Vesey Jr. chapter of the United States Army Association, AUSA, I add this coin on behalf of that chapter as well. Thank you.
The next two coins, the next coin is from the Minnesota Department of Veteran Affairs. So this is being donated from the Commissioner Shelto in honor of all Minnesota veterans past, present, and future. The next coin is from Camp Ripley, the Camp Ripley commander, General Cruz, and this is being donated in honor of all service members who have passed through Camp Ripley and will pass through Camp Ripley in Little Falls, Minnesota. Gentlemen.
This coin is being cast on behalf of the more than 1 million members of DAV and on behalf of current National Commander Dennis R. Nixon, combat wounded Marine veteran, Vietnam.
We have one more. This is a DAV coin. We turn 100 in a couple years, but this is just our little contribution. We're proud to be a part of it. We have a great department in Minnesota, and we're really proud of your effort.
Thank you. Sir.
My name is Sergeant Jason Ream with the University of Cincinnati Police Department. On behalf of all first responders, it is my honor to place this 9/11 commemorative coin for casting in the bell. We would also like to add a Hamilton County Police Association challenge coin. If that is okay, we would like to add that to be cast in the bell as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next coins we're going to go into is coins that were donated by customers, Wells Fargo customers, and team members and others from Minnesota. Now, not all coins came with a donation sheet explaining the donation, so some of this we'll have to just put into the ladle for the melting down. But at this time, I would like to bring Kevin Olson back up for a special medal that was donated at our Inver Grove Heights branch in Minnesota.
100 years ago this month, World War I ended, and my spouse, Christine Olson, whether she was going to be a boy or a girl, she was going to be named Chris. And she was named in honor of her great uncle who fought in World War I and was injured in World War I and received a Purple Heart after being gassed in France. This is a World War I victory medal with the emblem of victory on the front, and then all of the nations that fought on the Allied side in World War I in the Great War for Civilization. So in honor of all World War I veterans, and specifically to my spouse's great uncle, Chris Dom, present this to the Spirit of Minnesota tribute bell, this World War I victory medal.
Thank you. Jeff, go ahead with the shells.
The shells here are sent in from a Andrew Beckins. These shells were fired in honor of his grandfather's service on May 4th, 2010. Andrew's kept these shells with him since that date, as it's been the only reminder he's had of his grandfather and the service. He asked that these be donated as part of the bell so that his grandfather can live on as a veteran, and as part of it, a great veteran memorial. And so it's an honor to place these shells from the 21 gun salute of his grandfather into the bucket.
And then, Jeff, you got the dog tag, too.
We'll do Tim's. And the second item is in honor of a friend and a colleague of mine. His father passed away just a few weeks ago, and William Coy was a veteran, and I know he'd be proud of his son. He's a friend and colleague of mine that has supported me throughout my journey at Wells Fargo, building the military community programs. William was in the Army, met his wife in Heidelberg, Germany, married her, and they had a very strong relationship for over 60 years. So, Tim, this is for you, and I know your father's proud of you, and it's an honor to place this dog tag in to be part of the Spirit of Minnesota Tribute Bell and forever enshrine your father's great memory of serving our country.
I am going to be placing military commendation, Joint Service Commendation Medal, on behalf of the Navy Reserve, Marine Corps Reserve, all of the Minnesota soldiers of the 34th Infantry Battalion, everybody that's currently served. This is to honor your service and enshrine it in the bell.
The next few items, so I'm going to be donating a coin from when I was a company commander in Iraq. I deployed twice to Iraq, so this is for all the soldiers of 10194 Armor and the 1st Armor Brigade Combat Team and the 18 soldiers that died in 2006 to 2007 on the long deployment. The next item is a donation from 10194 Armor. It's the unit crest. It's called, it says the Armor Decision. So this is for 10194 Armor. That's headquartered in Brainerd, Minnesota. The next item I have here is 2nd Battalion 136 Infantry Division, 2nd Battalion 136 Infantry Regiment out of Moorhead, Minnesota. This was donated in honor of all the Bearcats, past, present, and future. The next thing I have is it's a Vietnamese dong from my wife's uncle, Bob Schineldecker. He deployed to Vietnam during the Tet Offensive. He was there in '67 during the Tet Offensive. So he gave this dong to be donated as part of the Minnesota Bell, along with a Vietnam veteran pin that he has. The next item I have is from Joe Myrie, another one of my wife's uncle who served from 1974 to 80. It is a United States Army Reserve Achievement Medal, and then a National Defense Medal that he received during his service. So thank you, Bob and Joe, for your service to our country. The next item is a Veterans of Foreign War belt buckle that I received in the mail from one of our customers. This will also be donated into the Spirit of Minnesota Tribute Bell. And at this time, I would like to bring up John, who will donate a few more items in honor of MACV and his service.
Thank you, John. Because this is the Spirit of Minnesota Bell, I have a medal here that is given to Minnesota National Guardsmen and reservists. It's called the Minnesota Medal for Merit, and I add that into the casting of the bell in honor of all service members, past and present, who serve for the Minnesota National Guard. Also have a MACV dog tag. We give these dog tags to donors and volunteers who help MACV, and I think it's appropriate that this be cast into the bell that rings, and every time it rings, it's another way for us to say thank you for your support. And lastly, I have one of my own dog tags that I wore when I served overseas in Iraq with Kevin and John previously, so I add those also in honor of the bell.
I'm honored to be in a family that has had service members in the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. And today, in honor of my late brother-in-law, a retiree from the United States Air Force, John William Rainey, it's my pleasure to place his dog tag to always be in the Minnesota Spirit, the Spirit of Minnesota Tribute Bell.
The last few items are the U.S. pin, the branch for the engineer branch, a specialist rank, a belt buckle, which we'll add into the Spirit of Minnesota Tribute Bell. I think you would like to probably do this one, so I will let you explain that coin, please.
This coin is very special to me. In Minnesota, we don't have any active duty military bases, so connecting to the public is a very community-based thing. And one of the things that we do is we have a radio show called the Minnesota Military Radio Hour. It airs on 55 stations throughout the state of Minnesota. This coin is dedicated by the host, Tom Lyons, who is an Air Force veteran. and just communicates the items that relate to our service members, our veterans, and our families. So in honor of all of the listeners to Minnesota Military Radio, I present this coin for the Spirit of Minnesota tribute bell.
And then the last items here, now, like I said at the beginning, not all items came with a story. So I would like to take this time to thank Pat Shipper and Nick Gordon, who are Wells Fargo customers, who donated coins and some memorabilia for the Spirit of Minnesota tribute bell. And now we'll add the remaining items into the Spirit of Minnesota tribute bell so that it can be put in the furnace and forever be enshrined into the Minnesota bell. So at this time, Tim, I think we're ready to light the furnace.
I think so. Ralph, you want to come over and grab the ladle, and we'll be putting those metals into the furnace. So the metals are in the furnace now, and now what we'll do is start the furnace, start that process of melting that metal and getting it up to temperature. Please join us back here at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where we'll begin with stacking the molds, assembling the molds together, which are here to my right. So that'll take a few minutes to stack those together, and then shortly after 4 o'clock, we'll be ready to cast the Spirit of Minnesota bell. So we'll see you back at 4 o'clock.